True performance starts within. Your mind is your most powerful asset, so why settle for anything less than clarity? Defeat brain fog, sharpen your focus, and unlock peak performance with Nectar Gold. Formulated with premium ingredients, tailored for high-performing men. Maximize your potential. Live in clarity. This is Nectar Gold.
Ahoy and welcome to the third episode of the Rich as Fuck podcast, the show where we talk money, investing, and getting financially free whilst living that yachting life. I'm Charl, aka the Yachting Investor, and this is not just another boring finance podcast. This is for yachties, by a yachting. So pop in those AirPods, grab a squeegee, and join me in navigating your path to financial independence. Today, I have the honor of having Captain Liam Devlin, the captain of motor yacht Unbridled, with me. Thank you, sir, and welcome to the podcast.
Pleasure. Wonderful introduction. Excited to be here. And like I said, team, put the AirPods in and get to work and let's enjoy it. Let's grow together.
There we go. So most of the episodes here is very, very unscripted. We shoot out of there kind of. There are certain topics I would like to address with you. And in order to get started, why don't you give us a bit of a background? How did you get into yachting? What's your plan to stay in it? All of those lovely things.
All right. Well, I'm an open book, so shoot whatever you got. I'll roll with it. There's no stress with me. I'm just a little Australian kid, surfing, fishing, diving. That's how I grew up. And from that age, I just had a passion for the ocean, and I've just stayed in that space. The yachts, the boats I've been on have just got bigger, and I had a lucky opportunity when I was young to work as a captain. And over the years, I kind of worked 2-3 years to 5 years on a particular yacht, and then the owners either get a bigger yacht or I moved to another yacht. And over the last 25 years, I've ended up in the position I've got. So it's been an exciting journey, but it's been my career. It's been my passion. And, what I've highlighted with it is exciting to see different areas, exciting to see different people. But what I'm most excited about now is people like yourself coming into the space and appreciating it as a career that you can use in addition to shoreside skills to build on. Mm-hmm. Where it used to just be an in and out business, earn some money and go. But people are realizing you can earn some money, you can make a lifestyle, and you can transition.
Yeah, that's spot on right there. I think a lot of people look, the hours are long, it's tricky, and sometimes very daunting to even consider a side hustle, quote unquote. But it's doable, and it's a phenomenal industry in terms of not only the networking you get to do amongst fellow crew, but the owners on these boats. You meet some savvy business people that can open a lot of doors to you in the future. So you got to keep them eyes peeled.
Yeah, very well said, actually, because they all are wealthy people, but they come with similar attributes. That top 10% or 5% or 1% even, they come with similar attributes, which is they're very focused, they're very structured traditionally, and they don't waste money. So they kind of make the money work for them, and that's generally the motto that I've picked up, is that when you get that pay at the end of the month, don't just take it as a luxury and say, all right, now I can spend. What do you need to do with that little bucket of money, and how do I invest it wisely to get the best return on investment? And that's kind of your expertise. But for me, I've just made a lot of good decisions and bad decisions over the years, but I've really enjoyed the opportunity to every month get that income and then see what I can do with it.
Well, we'll talk into the nuts and bolts and the minutiae of money in a bit. Interesting. You said 25 years in yachting. How old were you when you started?
Well, 20 when I came to Fort Lauderdale, so I'm 45 years now. So when I first came to Fort Lauderdale, I was going from Australia. I worked in dive boats, fishing boats, and then went to North Queensland, and then I was going to the English Channel because it was the busiest waterways in the world. And my theory is, as a simple young captain, I'm like, if I work on the busiest waterways in the world, I'm going to be good. So I was going to London. It was November in New York City, and as a beach bum from Australia, I was like, it was freezing cold. November in New York City was not much fun. And then I heard about Florida, and I'm like, sunshine, beaches, maybe some waves. I'm thinking that could work. And then I got to Florida, and it was just, I was blessed to find an opportunity where it was the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. The stars aligned. I walked around. I had my captain's and first mate license, and then the first vessel I joined was a 130 bed ship called Queen of Diamonds with a great captain and a South African. And we went around South America, including Ushuaia and Argentina, Chile. And that was, as first mate, that was my intro to yachting. I'm like, wow, this is the world I want to spend the rest of my life in, you know?
That is an epic introduction. I think a lot of people have that on their wish list for many, many years, and you got that right off the bat.
I was blessed, yeah, but I had a good backbone. You know, I'm Australian from diving as a young age of 14, fishing with my granddad. I had my captain's license. I had my dive instructor's license. I had this foundation to already start. And I see a lot of crew coming in now with additional qualifications. And we had two crew recently that joined, Kieran and Joel from South Africa, and they're awesome guys. They joined, and in the first year they did the Panama Canal, 2-month-long charters, earned good tips, and got in and, had some good vacation time too. So it happens. It's just it's hard to say be a bit picky, but try and find the right fit when you come into this game. Try and find a good group of people that you can kind of enjoy, and that gets you through the tough moments, because the tough moments are going to be there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think sometimes we get force-fed this narrative that your first job, like, you need longevity, like stay there, grind it out. And yes, don't quit easily. But if you realize that you're suddenly surrounded by people that don't make you happy, or you don't get treated the way, get out of there. Life's too short to be in a place where you're unhappy. I was very blessed to have landed on a boat 4 years ago now, where I just knew from the get-go this will be my final boat in yachting. And I know whenever it is time to leave, I will leave on a high, because it's such an amazing environment, owners and crew.
Yeah, it's the trinity. It's the owners, crew, and the boat. You know, for me, they're the three things I look for. And when I join a new program, it's the owner and I have an interview process. And even there was one owner that said, "Okay, you've got the job. Go. You know, let's meet each other and have another phase of the interview." And I said, "Well, I just got to meet the boat. You know, I've got to meet the yacht. You know." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I just got to go spend some one-on-one time. I'm spending as much time with that yacht as I am my own family. So I've got to actually go and try and find some understanding." And I go to the yacht. If it's a good build, it's well upkept, it's the start, and that's the platform I work on. And then every day it's an ongoing battle, me against Mother Ocean, and she wins every single day. But I just keep waking up and punching, going, "Come on, crew, let's try harder, let's do better, let's clean more, let's organise better. If it doesn't work, find a new approach to try and make the yacht better for the owners."
Yeah, that's for all aspiring captains out there. I hope you're listening, because that's some golden nuggets over there.
Yeah, and don't think you got to reach it either. Like it's an unachievable. What we go for in yachting is an unachievable goal. It's really, you can't try and get self-gratification from it, because the owners come at such a high expectations that even if you get close to being great, they want greater. That's just their mindset. So, you know, for people like, you know, who are watching the podcast and listening, you've got to adapt that same mindset. Just, all right, knock it out the best you can today, wake up, repeat, rinse, repeat, and you will get better. It is a fact of life. It's, you know, consistency, you know?
That's very sound advice. And yeah, you're right. Like, owners within their personal goals and businesses, they keep on moving the goalposts for themselves. So they will expect that with the direct crew working on one of their luxury assets. And it's important to grow thick skin. I was definitely, in my first year or two, I took things very personally when the owner's like, "Hey, you know, why do the windows look like that?" I would sob and shake and have a mini panic attack and call my grandma. And then now you're like, "Oh, you know what? He has a point. He's paying us a fair bit of money. His windows better be clean."
Yeah, exactly. You're right, actually. You got to take the emotion out of it. It is a transaction. So therefore, what do we get as humans? You know, what do we get back? And what we get back is the teamwork that we're building, the people around you. And I don't know who said it, but it's like, you're the sum of the 5 people around you. You know, for me, I'm the sum of my wife, my son, my daughter, and my dog, my Labrador. That's, you know, they're the people around me now. And when I'm at work, I'm at work. But you have to try and make sure that 5 people around you, you keep lifting each other up. And that's kind of what I'm more passionate about. You know, for you, it's the investing and the yachting. So it's the numbers game, I guess. I mean, what are you passionate about?
Well, to be honest, this is quite a new. I've always been interested in finance and stuff, but once I actually had money to play with, it obviously changed the game. It's one thing sitting in an accounting class or a business management class with hypothetical money, but when you know you're putting in 16-hour days. I hope the MLC doesn't hear that. But if you're putting in these long days and you are earning an income from it, in my opinion, it would be a pure damn shame to let it go down the drain and not having that money work for you. So I think I actually got very lucky. My very first gig, I was working for an owner captain, which was quite a interesting setup, and I was a deck nanny, which was an even more interesting job on board. But loved it, and I love children, so that was totally cool with me. But in one of my first times, I did a solo bridge navigation. I was sitting playing on my phone, and he came up and he was like, listen, instead of looking at your screen, here's a book. And he gave me a personal finance book called Money Master the Game, which was by Tony Robbins, I believe. And that kind of opened the doors to this world that I didn't know existed, coming from a place with not a lot of abundance, being South Africa. So that not kind of
fiscal abundance. You got a lot of abundance in great rugby players and a lot of great people. Fiscal abundance.
Exactly. So, however, yachting, to pivot back to your question, what you asked about what I'm passionate about. So at the moment, I'm passionate about helping people out with all of this and providing a platform where money can just be simplified for crew. It's that simple. But yachting has been just an epic roller coaster. I've been in 35 plus countries, done tons of charters with really interesting people, and get to see the prettiest places on earth. And oftentimes you'd have a long day and you're like packing up the beach, which they never went to. And you have to go back and pack up the slide, which they never used. And you're sitting there and you're like, fuck. But then you look around and you're like, listen, stop and smell the roses, mate. Like it's gorgeous around you. You're in a place that 99.99% of the world will never get to because they don't have a luxury yacht. So soak it in. And for that, I will always be immensely grateful for what yachting has given me.
Yeah. So what's the adventures now, though? I mean, with the Yachting Investor, it's growing quick and it's impressive what you're doing, and a lot of people are talking about it. But how do you simplify it, and mainly for the junior crew, I guess, or how do I introduce your product to people like who work on Modi on Unbridled? There's a lot of South African, a lot of people ask me, what should I do with my wage? And I'm like, I can't give professional advice, but what I advise you is don't spend it and invest it.
There you go. But yeah, that is basically the simpler form. I'm glad you mentioned that you can't give advice because I can't either. Okay, I'm not a licensed. Exactly. And once again, to everyone listening, this is not financial advice. This is purely educational and informative. There you go, lawyers. But so basically what I'm trying to do is remove the stigma that you need a college degree or a fancy suit and working on Wall Street to be able to manage money. In our day and age, it has become so simple to manage money by all of these apps we have on our phones, setting up automated transfers and payments to your bank and brokerage accounts that anyone can start investing with as little as $10, $50. In the past, the barriers to entries were really high. A fund manager would only take you in if you had $50,000, for example. Yeah. Whereas now, you as a decky can split up your first charter tip and you can start investing. So my goal, and to be honest, I'm very much on the on the theme of we figure things out as we go, because initially this started as a newsletter and now look at me, I'm sitting and doing a podcast. But I'm enjoying
the rocking style. I love it.
Thank you. You're an easy guest too. But what my short-term goals to be able to absorb as much as information as possible from various different countries. Because me, being a South African, I'm well versed on our tax laws, strategies, all those type of things. But I've got a lot of readers and listeners that are Australian, Kiwi, American, Filipino, Mexican. And for them, I can't sit confidently and look at them and say like, hey, you can put $7,000 in a Roth IRA. That's a fact, by the way. But I want to be able to speak comfortably about these topics for these nationalities, or even better, just outsource. Find people that are professional in that domain and in that geography, and put them on the path to work with them for their financial future. In the meantime, all I'm trying to do is build a one-stop shop for yachties where you can find educational resources via newsletters, via books that I recommend, or other people that I listen to recommend. And then also linking services like the best type of bank accounts for a yachty, given our flexible way of living. People that can deal with tax returns for South African seafarers. So kind of building and cataloging everything in one place, which is actually just something I've been doing for quite some time for myself. And now just making it public as my way to give back to an industry that has given me so much opportunities.
Well, it needs it because, people focus on joining yachting, and these are the 10 steps to join yachting, and this is what you got to do to join yachting. But the reality is that's one part of it. But once you join the yacht, then what are the steps? And that's kind of, even I'm working with a good friend of mine, Alex, who you know as well, about the onboarding process of crew joining a boat. Not just what's your bank account, here's your medical insurance, here's your contract. I mean, that's what we give crew when they join, and every vessel should. An STA, which is MLC compliant, medical insurance and bank details, and we transfer the funds. But there's more to it than that. Is the medical insurance sustainable? Is it suitable from a long-term objective? Do you meet wellness goals? With banking, what other services are we offering crew when they join to make the most out of their income? So a product like yours really does have a value and an asset because the crew do ask. The first struggle is as soon as they join us, they said, oh, I haven't got a bank account. That's the first time, most times when junior crew first come, the first thing they say is, I've only got a South African bank account. I don't know about tax. I don't know what to do. And I always say, I'm not here to offer any financial advice. Speak to the chief officer who's South African, who's been here, done it for 10 years, some good pointers. So
Yeah, well, feel free to send them my way.
I will do. It's needed. I can't tell you how many times it happens. Nearly every crew that joins, either new or it's been in 5 years, 10 years, they need that information.
Yeah, it's true. And I often find they are easier to deal with. The greenies that approach me and happen to stumble upon the Instagram or the Substack, or they easy because their brains are sponges. It's like teaching a 2-year-old a new language. Like it's easy. Yeah. But it's the ones that have been in the industry for a while. It's speaking to the chief engineer who's been in the industry for 15 years, but still doesn't own a home because from his early days in yachting, he fell for the lifestyle creep or the keeping up with the Joneses mental psychology, which is very prevalent in yachting. And he just kind of got into the habit of earn, spend. And that's pretty horrifying considering we're one of the only industries in the world where all your expenses are paid for. Like I genuinely don't understand when some of my mates tell me they are broke. I don't get it unless you're doing something commendable like taking care of your family or you perhaps plummeting everything into a prospective business, but it doesn't happen. Like you've seen Liam, like it's especially around the South Florida yachting scene. It's about luxury and it's partying and it's drugs and it's club and you can fall down a very dark rabbit hole very quickly. So I'm really trying to be a shimmering light for your wallet and trying to teach you healthy money manners from the beginning and to just kind of make finance a bit sexier because it's not.
Yeah, well, you got the shirt for it. I love it. It reminds me of free and all that, And that goes to the point is the other thing that people don't realize is where we go to are always quite expensive areas. Like we don't just show up in places that are cost effective. We go to Newport, Rhode Island, Boston, United States. We go to St. Barts, St. Martin. These are top end holiday destinations. When crew go ashore and they're going out, they're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And for them, it's a bit of a free transaction because it's the only opportunity they'll get to be there. So they naturally have the urge to spend. I mean, for me, budgeting in my personal life is one of the biggest challenges. You know, to complicate things, from Australia, a resident of Australia, citizen, Irish passport, Australian passport, and I reside in Dominican Republic. And now I live in Canada, Montreal. So you it always is a little bit tricky, you know what I mean, when you come to budgeting and investing in life, you know. So my biggest advice is kind of lean back to companies like yourselves and products like yourselves from an earlier point and build those alternative or diverse investment styles, whether it's real estate or stocks or cash, whichever one, or cryptocurrency now, whichever one you tend to think, it's got to be diverse, I find.
Yeah, no, definitely. And back to your point on us as crew often being put in these high cost of living areas and getting a very small window to entertain. I always tell crew, when I preach, take care of your future self. I'm not saying you're not allowed to have fun anymore. It's just there's a concept in personal finance, which I really enjoy, which is it's from a book by Ramit Sethi called I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which I always tell entry, terrible title, but very good book. And in that, he has this concept of identify areas in your life that you truly value. You, for example, you mentioned a few times you love surfing. Okay, let's take that as an example. You should spend extravagantly on surfboards and surf holidays as much as you can. But if you have an area of life that you don't care about, let's say clothes, you don't care about fancy clothes, then you should save mercilessly on that department, because that way you're still giving yourself the gratification that you quite frankly deserve for your hard work, but you aren't letting dollars go to waste on stuff that you don't really care about. Same thing. I do this to myself often. For the past 3 years I've been doing this, and it has worked a charm. I call it the 2X rule. Also borrowed by a book from Nick Majuli called Just Keep Buying. And the 2X rule states that, let's say I want to buy something that I don't need. This shirt, for example. Let's say this shirt costs 100 euros. So before I buy the shirt, I have to think about it a little. But if I'm standing in the store and there's no time to think about it, I say, okay, I'm going to buy this shirt for 100 euros. But as soon as I leave the store, I'm sending $100 or 100 euros to my brokerage account to invest, or I'm donating $100 to a charity of my choice. That way, it means that I had the money in the first place because I paid 2x that. But by blessing my now self, I'm also taking care of my future self, or I'm doing something good for the community. So,
which book did you pick that up with? That's a great one.
It's called Just Keep Buying. Just Keep Buying by Nick Majuli. And it's a very cool concept about, like, regardless of what the market does, you should just have a strategy in place where you buy stocks the whole time. Yeah. That's into human psychology a lot, because humans are funny creatures. When we see a sale on Amazon, like Prime Day or Black Friday, holy shit, people go to town, right? They load up those carts, they pay. Yeah. But when stocks crash and they go on sale, people panic and sell. It doesn't make any sense. It's the exact same underlying business and the exact same asset. Why are you not buying it for a reduced price? So that book's great for people to get started. And the 2X rule has been a game changer for me, because it really makes you think about those tiny purchases that you don't think is a big deal, but it can add up.
Yeah, my theory is a bit, I consider fixed costs. My fixed cost, once I get a wage, is my fixed costs of this. It's my obviously investments in properties, my family. They're fixed costs. So then you have the variable expenses. And that probably comes from doing the accounting of yachts for many years. What are your fixed and what are your variable expenses? And with the variable expenses, that's what you have for the golf or the surfing or the T-shirts. But I always have this rule. It's my grandmother always said you should sleep on it overnight. So, and the good thing about that in yachting is we're not often in the same place more than once. So it's like I see something like a shirt and I'm like, it's a great shirt. I'll come back tomorrow. And then I haven't got a day off or I'm out to sea. I'm like, well, it saved me $100. There you go. So
Yeah, that's brilliant advice. Kudos to grandma.
yeah. I've saved a lot of money probably from not buying it because I'm not there the next day, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Then I wanna get out of something. You're a family man, correct? You have 2 children and a wife. What advice would you give to yachties that are considering yachting as a career, but also prioritize having healthy family relationship?
It's a challenge. There's no easy way to skin it. I'm blessed. This is my passion. I cannot say it anymore. I love going to sea. And I have to be honest to myself. And people think sometimes he says it too much. But I love going to sea. I really love what I do. So that's something that has been part of my identity from a child. And having a family is part of that. The biggest challenge is finding a partner, I believe, who understands, the independence that's created from that. And that's really where I'm blessed. And I found a beautiful woman in my wife that I adore and respect hugely. But she's given me the freedom for me to be myself and have that independence and follow my dreams. So that's kind of the disclaimer above it all, is it's very difficult to have that balance. And so many captains fall down the path of divorce. So many relationships are created in yachting, and the intensity in yachting, I think they call it like a dog's life. 1 year at sea is 7 years.
7 years at the real world, yeah.
Yeah, and I see so many relationships in my career in yachting being together, and it goes and it's got its ebbs and its flows. But I've also seen a lot of success stories where people join yachting for that 10-year period, earn a lot of the income they can't at home, but they're only successful if they invest. So as a family man, it is a career, and we're blessed to have rotational positions now. We're very fortunate to have Starlink, which offers a lot of access to communication that we didn't have when I first joined. Mm-hmm. So I fully think it's not only a career from the onboard experience, but what's happened in the last kind of 5 years is it's really blown up the shoreside support that's offering yachting. Companies like yourself or the Yachting Investor, a huge plethora of companies that are now supporting yachting, from clothing companies to brand like vodkas to different other organizations, from crew management, crew placement, brokerage. So people focus on just yachting as the decky on the boat shamming. But if you're a decky on the boat shamming, you got 2 years in the role. Then you got a year as bosun. Then you may crawl to second officer or eventually officer or captain. That's a 5, 10, 15-year plan right there. So if you're investing from day one or at any stage, even if you're in it 15 years, it's all about starting to invest and build that network of not only money, but people around you. And that's right. I think the biggest key people have to continuing their yachting career is don't see it as a be-all, end-all. You've got to get in, earn the money and leave. Just embrace it. Embrace the people in the industry. Embrace the networks that you're making, because they're generally like-minded people. Like you and I have never met, but when I first phoned you, I said, "Hey, friend," and you're like, "Feel like I know you." I said, "Man, we're like-minded. We're just simple souls. The simple souls that are born to sea, and we've found something that we enjoy. We've found people we enjoy. Our home's our home. Our family's our family. But that's part of the adventure that got us into this. So embrace that."
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's going to be clipped into a few short clips. I hope you know that. That was some astounding advice. Thank you. Oh. And I think that gives a lot of hope to aspiring yachties and people that know they're going to be in it for the long run, because, like you mentioned, marriages crumble, like you see firsthand often these things. But if you design your life with positive intent like you have, and you have a partner that you can communicate with, and you learn to enjoy the time that you do get to spend with your children, like it can be a very valuable thing. Also, grandma advice. My grandma always used to tell me that absence makes the heart grow fonder. So
Yeah.
you coming back from a 2-month rotation, I can't even imagine the elation on your kids' faces when daddy's home. That must be epic.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, it's quality time too. Like it's when I come home, it's quality time. It's I picked the kids up this morning. I woke up, took them to school, brought them back, engaged with them, went shopping with my son, go for a walk with my dog and my daughter tonight in the snow. And it's like, that means so much to me. Probably less and less to the kids as they get older, but it means more to me as they get older. So it's that side, but also the key to is, don't bring your work home. Like especially as a captain or a head of department or in anyone's position, your wife's there, your partner is there to kind of not to take all your punching bags. Your partner's there, to support you, but you need to support her just as much. And you've got to help each other. Got to be a balance. You know what I mean? My wife's given me probably some of the best advice in life that I've ever got from anyone. I always say it's 50-50. She goes, no, it's 100-100. You both have to go all in supporting each other to make this work. So that's the kind of advice I'd give too, is really value the people who support who you are and what you do. And that is always your family, from your mum and your dad and your brothers and all that network of people, whether you agree with them or get on with them, they're still that backbone. They're the people you came from that created you as a human being. So give respect to them by being the best version of yourself you can, both at work and at home. On a personal note, my dilemma was always the two sides of it: captain, father, captain or husband, captain, father, that kind of the two personalities. And what I'm realizing is the older I get, it's actually, you can be the one person. You can be authentic. You can be true to yourself. And even as a deck crew member, a lot of people put on this brave face like, I'm a good cat. Everything's good cat. Ready to go cat. I'm like, cool, but how's your family? Oh, mum, not good. Or dad's not good. I'm like, cool. That's part of you too. It's not just like you're happy and you're ready to work. There's another part to you. And the more you acknowledge other people's parts, the more you build a team and the more you understand that you're going to get through this together. You know what I mean?
That's great stuff. And I think the people that have worked with you will probably be very grateful that they have a captain that approaches things this way, because we're not robots. We're human beings doing a tough job far away from our families. So
very
well done
true.
on that.
Yeah, but also it's tough, the business we're in. Like, a lot of people work with me, they realize sometimes they call me the hurricane because I come into a scenario and I'm all in. Like I give it all I got.
No, I'm really appreciate you saying that, because I think oftentimes you're right. Things might be fine with you on deck that day, but there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes that is a critical part of what you're made of. Once again, back to your point of you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
It goes back to the roots.
Yeah, true. I mean, a lot of incidences on yachts or on deck or whatever it is, a lot of incidences I see on a boat are generally not because of the person themselves. It's because of either something in home, something at work, some internal politics on the boat. So it's like, I try and embrace this theory that you have the uncomfortable conversation. Just get it out. If you don't like someone, just say you don't like them, And a lot of times I'll say, look, I'm not liking this person this week. And I tell them and I'm like, they're like, Kat, that's a bit tough. I'm like, yeah, it's tough, man, but I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. Like, there's passion here, we're not, we got to work through this. And eventually by that having that conversation, it lightens the load. They might want to go for the dock and have a cold beer or something, go for a fresh drink or go for a run or go for a swim, or you got to get yourself out of the problems that happen on yachts because it's such a small little petri dish of problems. So you just get yourself out of that and appreciate what we have. But
it truly is. And then for us to work out our last 10 minutes here, let's go money. Okay, I'm gonna put you on the crossfire here. Okay. What is the single best and single worst financial decision you've made in your yachting career?
Single best would probably be purchasing a property in Jupiter recently, about 3 years ago. Yeah, Jupiter, little cottage up there. Nothing big. It's the worst house on the nice street. You know what I mean? That type of scenario. Well, I did some landscaping and I really put my effort and time into it, not just throwing money at it. But that seems to be a pretty good investment. And the single worst investment was probably, I bought and sold a total of 7 or 8 properties in my life, and the worst one was based on emotion, which was my wife was pregnant. I was in Dominican Republic. I didn't have a house. I should have just rented. I felt like, and an old Spanish lady, grandmother, once told me, she said, first you build the nest and then you put the egg in the nest, And I always thought about this. And I'm like, I've got a child. I haven't got a home in Dominican. Let me buy a property. And I bought an apartment. Up in I think it was a 14-story building. It was like on the 10th floor. It was off the plan. Sounded great. A little bit of money down per month. Took an extra year for the apartment to be built. Once it was built, the view was stunning. But I'm looking at my little 2-month-old, 6-month-old boy running around 10 floors up on this apartment with a glass balcony going, yeah, got to get out of here. Where's my lawn? Where's my backyard? This is a horrible decision. So, but it wasn't so much a bad financial decision. My wife was a real estate agent, or is a real estate agent, so she got us out of that and actually sold the property for more than what we paid for it, which was good. And it was off the plan, so you have that time frame for the value to go up. But it was probably the worst in terms of of the process, time, effort, because there's also not just money; it's how much effort you're putting into things.
Yeah, it's the sweat equity.
Yeah, but I'm hearing a lot of horrible things out in yachting these days. A lot of people are getting these, not what I consider, they look like scams, like 25% return, 15% returns, 20%. And I'm like, guys, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't put the money.
And that was basically the genesis of all of this. There were 2 companies in Palma when I started out. I won't name any names, but anyone that's a yachty that's ever been there knows exactly who I'm talking about. It's diabolical what these people are doing, because they sit you down with their nice linen shirts and they explain to you how much returns you're going to get. And they use complex financial jargon that just freaks people out. And then, boom, without you knowing it, you sign off on a 3-4% management fee. They fail to mention in the meeting that if you don't contribute 2,000 euros a month to this, you get penalized. Like, it's disgusting. So that is kind of where this is coming from as well, to make sure people don't fall with that trap. The issue is, Liam, like a lot of people, it's a scary topic. It's a daunting topic. And they think that it's so far removed from my realm of capability that let me just give it to the next man that looks smart in a suit and he'll take good care of me. It's not how the world works. You need to do your due diligence, and you need to keep it simple. One of my favorite statistics is 98% of money managers fail to beat the stock market over a 10-year period.
Wow.
So that's basically telling you all you have to do is put your money in an index fund, which you basically buy the entire stock market, and just slow and steady wins the race. You pay next to nothing on management fees. You remove the emotion out of it, because the index fund in itself is a flushing mechanism where it removes the worst performing companies from the bottom and keeps the rents at the top. You don't need to be a stock picking genius. And even if you are one, you need to be the top 2% to beat the market. So
it's only 6 or 5 to 6%. So it's, why fight it? You're going for 3-4, be happy with it. As long as it's better than inflation and GDP, it's a win.
That's it. And people also fail to recognize the time value of money and what compound interest can do for us, especially as youngsters starting investing. 5-6%, okay, you're not going to feel happy with that when you read about the guy next door that bought a crypto meme coin and made 100 grand overnight. But when you let that thing snowball, you will not believe your eyes when you open your brokerage account in 30 years. You will be a millionaire, guaranteed. So people, and my generation's very guilty of this, is the instant gratification bites you in the ass. You're not going to become rich overnight by investing. Everybody, if this is why you're listening to the Yachting Investor, sorry to disappoint you. Slow and steady wins the race. Be patient. Slow is pro. Boring is the best way to go. Just park your money in an index fund, pick up your surfboard, and have a time. That's all you need to do.
I mean, that's the ticket. That's the key right there, mate. I think you've nailed it. If people are looking for anything, I think that's exactly it. Is just simplify it. And you know, like I give you an example. I had an owner who really liked me and was giving me bonuses each year and gave me access to one of the top funds in the United States through Northern Trust. And I listened, no disrespect to Northern Trust, but I listened to this investor, and every year he'd go through, every quarter he'd go through and have a whole speech to me for about 5 hours that I couldn't really understand the whole lot of it. At the end of the year, would review it, and it was no better than like 1.5%. And then the S&P 500 was doing like 4.2, 4.3%. And I'm like, why am I wasting my time, effort, and money when my gut feeling said just put it in the S&P 500?
There you know,
and let it grow. So I 100% agree. Compounding interest, reinvestment. You know, I think that's the key. But also a bit of diversification. Have a bit of fun. Put some money if you want to have fun with crypto. You know, put a little bit of money in real estate in South Africa, or diversify it as you grow. But be patient. It's a 10-year game. You know,
very, very much. And what you said there, spot on. Like, I sit with a basket of diversified ETFs, index funds, a few cash-producing rental properties in Cape Town, South Africa, because it's so affordable when you earn dollars, and then 20% of my liquid holdings I keep in I call it my degen fund. So when I feel like being a degenerate, I have money in there. I'm like, you know what? I am going to put $500 on fart coin or whatever the next meme coin is, because there's asymmetrical return potential. Like if it goes to zero, whatever, it's fine. I can't go to Disneyland this weekend in Florida. And but if it 10x's, like, I'm styling and I might quit my job and buy a yacht.
Exactly.
I'll never do that. That's a terrible decision.
No, I still buy the lotto, man. I love it. I mean, my wife are like, what? It just takes a ticket. You got to be in it to win it in life. You got to be in it to win it. You know,
you got to risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah, I think you just got to be cautious and don't go too far in. Like I've got a couple of friends now that've gone too far in a recent investment that sounded too good, and now they're like, I don't know what's going to happen with it. It's in a lawsuit. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't worth it. It's not worth the stress. You know, just be patient. You know, keep the soul clean. Don't get too stressed. There's no magic, money funds out there.
No,
just be patient, consistent.
There isn't. And I mean, it also, if you peel it back even further, it's literally as simple as spend less than you make and invest the difference. Just live a little bit below your means. You don't need to put 80% of your salary away like I do every month. That's extreme to some people. If you can, do it, because your future self will thank you for sure. But just keep it simple, man. Also, the most of things in life that are worthwhile are free. Like I barely ever look back and think, okay, wow, that $1,000 I just spent for this crazy night out with a limo and whatever, like that didn't make me nearly as happy as going for a morning jog on the beach and taking a swim and watching the sunrise.
Yeah, exactly, mate. It always wins. The sunrise always wins, I say. And the later you go out, the less chance you have of seeing it. So
that's it. And then I know you got to head off soon. I have one more question for you. I'm asking you this on the eve of the 10th of November, the 10th of February, as I am sending out the newsletter tomorrow, which I feel very strongly about. So I've done some digging. I've compiled some research done by DocWalk and by Key Crew every year on the annual salary survey within yachting. According to those figures, for pretty much 15 years, and you can attest because you've been there for that while, yachting wages have remained predominantly flat versus the rate of inflation.
Yeah.
Why is that, and what can we do to change that?
I think, and I appreciate you doing the research. I'm really excited about it. I logged in, and for all those people listening, please subscribe, please follow and pledge, and just move forward with getting the information. Because once you've got that information, then you can use it and help change the industry. To answer the question, I think it's because we're a service-based industry. In the end, a service-based industry will never have the momentum to actually make a change unless we unite. So we're always fighting together. Me as a captain competing against another captain for a certain amount of money for a certain position. That position on that yacht is worth X amount. So an owner can then choose what he feels is right, not what the industry is telling or not what this industry standard is. So there is no industry standard. I could go and employ a decky for $2,000 a month. That's not right. And it happens still. People agree to it. People agree to work for free still. So this is where I think the industry has gone wrong. And I think there's some great companies out there like Grain Lord, PYC Cayman are starting to make a move towards a bit more career focused, where we have almost a minimum wage with a group of professionals that can say, this is kind of where we're at and these positions should be this. And with that is not only a fiscal benefit, it should be a package. It should be a quality health insurance that goes through life. It should be a superannuation or a social insurance, things like that, that should help build these platforms and look at yachting more like a career. So it's unacceptable, in my opinion. I'm quite passionate about it. I think people are professionals in this field. It's not a hobby. We're not coming here just to serve dishes, to serve cocktails and to clean chamois. No, we're elite professionals of what we do. And believe it or not just the Chamois Master 3000 joke, but we've got a deckhand providing a service for one of the wealthiest men in the world, or top 1% of the world's population. That deckhand is not getting the value financially for the opportunity or the position he's put in. He's put in there as someone to communicate with an owner, take them diving, take them fishing, take them jet skiing while the captain sits on the bridge. So it's, I really think from a junior level, it should be higher. From an upper level management, which I call captains and heads of department management level, we should be compensated with more packages, and therefore the industry moves forward better. So from a junior level, there should be a minimum entrance rate, and it should be based on a lot of different factors and governed by flag. But it's sad to see. It's a very sensitive topic because I've got children that may be bringing in the industry. I've got young deckies that are coming in. And when it comes to investing, there isn't money left if you're not getting paid what you're entitled to,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see you feel passionate about the topic. And hopefully this report can once again shed some light on the fact that numbers don't lie. Yeah. And, life's not getting cheaper. It's not like we're working less hard. You're paying more every year for your paint job. You're paying more every year for your provisions. Why are the crew not getting paid more every year, at least keeping up to inflation?
Yeah.
So,
and I wouldn't say 15, I'd say 20, 25. I mean, I remember joining as as a first mate. I forget the wage it was on. It was probably 4,500 on a 130. Now, that's not too different from today. It's 25 years. You know what I mean? That's 25 years ago, and I was only 45, as first mate on a 130. And
inflation adjusted, that is literally earning double the amount in today's.
I was going to say 8 or 10. So it really should be pushing a little bit higher right now. It should be, as a first mate on a 140, 8 to 10. When you do the maths, deckies should be coming 5, 6. But I'm more interested in the package we can offer crew, because the medical insurance, when you leave one boat, you lose insurance. You have to join again to another boat. I'm more interested in the well-being of crew and the sustainability.
Rounding out, yes. I agree. Well, I look forward to seeing if something comes from it. And sometimes, if there's an issue that arises, sometimes the best thing to do is tackle it yourself. So who knows? Who knows?
Well,
we might be starting a union.
I hope my crew aren't listening now.
I'll be sure that this YouTube video is not accessible to your crew's IP address.
Yeah. I'll have a busy day on the bridge tomorrow, that's for sure.
Yeah. Awesome, there. Well, thank you so much for your time. You're such a treat to talk to. I'm sure we'll do this again. Thank you for everything that you do for the industry and really shining a positive light on this often misunderstood industry.
Yeah.
If people want to connect with you and find out more about what you do and what you do in Unbridled, how do they reach you?
I appreciate your time, man. I'm passionate about what I do. I love yachting. I love boating. I love working with people like yourselves and like-minded. It's at Captain Liam Unbridled. That's the Instagram. I'm learning that whole world. And that's been probably most exciting in the last 12 to 24 months is a lot of people have helped me kind of worked on this platform of positivity. And I've really had a lot of support through, I've known a lot of people in the industry for a long time. So Captain Liam Unbridled or Yacht Unbridled or Facebook or WhatsApp, you track me down somewhere.
Amazing. Well, I'll be sure to put that down in the show notes. And I look forward to talking to you again.
All right. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Be blessed, eh?